Steve Kerr says the Warriors have found their identity. What is that identity? We're breaking it down, plus the Jimmy Butler effect and Steph Curry's longevity, why the numbers right now are better than his numbers a decade ago, at least the past month. That's on today's show.
Who cares now? Because I'm here, and I would like to think that I am wanted here.
Most importantly, he a dog.
We got 4 championships.
You are Locked On Warriors.
I know Jimmy drinks great wine.
Your daily Golden State Warriors podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Speculation is just what it is, though.
Your team every day.
What is the good word, everyone? Welcome into Locked On Warriors. It's part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. A lot of ways you can check out the show, YouTube, wherever you get your audio podcast. Be sure to subscribe, like it, do anything you can that is free. We appreciate it. We also have a newsletter you can subscribe to. Sends all the Warriors notes, news, nuggets, everything you need. You can find that at lockedondaily.com. Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. Right now, new FanDuel customers get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. You know what that means. When I give it a big clap, you know what that means. It means Dan Devone is on the show today. Let it rip, Devone. First time we have talked to him in quite some time. Last time I talked to him, it was Get Out the TNT. By the way, my name's Charlie Walter, formerly at 95.7 The Game, also KPIX in San Francisco. Devone, like myself, a little radio TV hybrid that now dabbles in podcasting. He was a award-winning anchor in Seattle, and in the Bay Area, you saw him for NBC Sports and also for 95.7 The Game. You can hear him right now doing Warriors Post. Dan, good to hear from you, man. How we doing?
What's going on, man? How are things?
Things are great, man. I'm all hooped up, not hyped up. I'm hooped up. We got March. We got the bubble in college basketball, 65-62 grudge matches. And in the NBA, we got the Warriors starting to separate themselves, man. It's no longer the Clippers are no longer the name that we're bringing up. It's not the Clippers we're bringing up. What's up?
Sorry, did Auburn get beat last night?
You're really interested in the Auburn Tigers, aren't you? I did see they went down. I forget.
Okay.
It was
the number one ranked team in the country.
They went down to Texas A&M.
All right,
yeah,
sorry. Go ahead.
That's who it was. Before you so rudely interrupted,
you want to start this over again? Sorry.
I mean, this is live. There's no starting it over, so we get right into the first subject, man. And that's how are you? Good to talk to you. How was the cold plunge in the Bay Area today?
Everything's going well. I'm just waiting for it. Come on, give me the. Just go ahead and persecute the gold medalist Dan Devone here. Tell me how I was wrong about Jimmy Butler, and now suddenly, those libations you're throwing back are victory cocktails as opposed to drinking yourself into a stupor and contemplating jumping off the bridge.
Well, here's the thing, Devone. We've used the word avuncular a lot in our relationship. You've always steered me. You always say this. You say, Chuck, I can only lead you to the well. You still got to go fish the water and drink it. And I wasn't drinking the water. I wanted to see after the first or second game what Jimmy Butler could bring to the table and how this team would look different. And even a couple games in, you said it's the Bulls, it's the Bucks. Call my mother and we can, set up a party at bingo night. It ain't bingo night, man. It was Draymond Green's birthday last night, and I could tell you those guys were not playing bingo. Things are clicking. The Warriors are 9-1. Steve Kerr says they have an identity. It's just a rock-solid team right now. Over the last 10 games, number 2 in overall offense, number 2 in overall defense. What's the crack, man? I'm always waiting for it from you. What is going to bring this thing down aside from, age and injuries?
Well, okay, look at the Jimmy Butler thing is for real, okay? And we'll see how long it's going to last. There's still some hurdles, and I think last night was a perfect test. I think that was the best team that they played. I think that there's been a lot of tomato cans have been lined up, the Charlottes of the world, the Chicago Bulls. And so to play the number 3 seed out of the East, albeit without Karl Anthony Towns, but still, you're at the Garden. It's a back-to-back. Steph Curry's got a bad wheel, and you do what it is that you did. After sort of a lethargic first half, you're able to close, and that's really sort of the operative word today. You close against the Knicks, and you do it out at the Garden in front of Fat Joe and all of those bananas out there in New York and Celebrity Row. So significant win. The only thing on this road trip that sort of, and I'm looking at this and I'm not throwing water on anything, that sort of gives me pause where, you know me, I'm a bit of a skeptic. I just need to see a little bit more of it before I jump fully on board, is that first half against Orlando, in which Steph Curry, of course, had the incredible 56 points where they just looked thoroughly confused. The sort of team that we witnessed prior to Jimmy Butler. Nobody else could score the basketball. So, that's isolated. That's sort of the outlier, but just remnants of that makes me think that, okay, well, have they turned the corner, and where's the personality of this team going forward? But you got to believe there's absolutely no reason not to jump on board, not only because they're playing well, but when you look at the construct of the Western Conference now, I mean, doors are ajar, my man. I mean, the ceiling it's limitless when you think about the Warriors going forward.
Yeah, and there's a lot that's changed aside from just Jimmy Butler, right? I mean, Podziemski was hurt for a long time. He comes back to the fold and goes from role player to really good. I mean, he's been awesome in a lot of different avenues. Shooting the ball, it's been pretty up and down all season. But when it comes to just being a scrappy basketball player and knowing where to be, it seems like he clicks really well with Butler. Then you add in the addition of Quentin Post, who I know that gives you a little smile because you did not think this was possible, but he could stretch the floor and knock it down. He adds another wrinkle to your team. I think Gary Payton's been playing awesome, and all these things together with a rejuvenated Draymond Green and a very, very hot Steph Curry, who's putting up just about 30 a night over the last month. It makes for a roster that you look at and in the top 7, top 8, you say, why can't this team compete with some of the best teams in the Western Conference? Now, overall, I still think, I know the talk is Boston. I know the talk is Oklahoma City. Cleveland's kind of that sleeper team. I think they're the most complete team in basketball, man. Like they are, we saw them twice against the Warriors and we saw them just lay the hammer. They are damn good, man.
You're talking about the Cavs?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, well, I don't know if they're much of a sleeper team when you have the best record in the NBA. Listen, Boston, I think, is sort of the odds.
Fair. Very fair.
Sort of the odds-on favorite to come out of the East. But the Cleveland Cavaliers are for real. I mean, because and now you get the addition of DeAndre Hunter. That's almost not fair. He's balling for them. And the ability for them to go big, you talk about balance with Darius Garland and Mitchell. That's a team that has you covered in just about every metric, defense, offense. Boston seems to turn it on when they want to. But where do the Warriors fall into that sort of pantheon of the best? The East scares me, all right? And
forget about the East, right? Let's just talk West. In terms of the West, we'll worry about the finals if they get there. But in terms of like getting to the Western Conference Finals, if your schedule's lined up with Memphis and Houston, Denver may be a different story, but Memphis, Houston specifically, I'm not at all worried.
Yeah, and here they come. It's like a free fall. They're coming right back to you. Because
get that 5-4, yeah.
And Memphis are both struggling. Memphis right now, John Morant's got the bad shoulder. He hasn't been the same. That team will go as far as Ja will take you, all right? As good as Jaren Jackson Jr. has been, and he might be your defensive player of the year, he's out. They thought it was a foot injury. Thankfully, it's not. He's got a bad wheel. He's day-to-day. That's a team that's lost 3 in a row. They're just not very good right now. And Houston is right there behind them. Both teams have lost 3 in a row over the last 10 games. They're sub-500 teams. The Warriors are looking to get in at that 5-4 matchup. Why? Because you don't want to see Denver in the first round. Right? You don't want to see Jokic and a rejuvenated Jamal Murray. And as wacky as it sounds, Westbrook has found a home out there. Christian Brown coming off the bench. That's a danger. If you were to tell me that Denver wins the West, it's not going to surprise anybody. They might be the best team going into the postseason. But if you get into that 4-5, does Houston, Memphis scare you? No. And I think that's favorable that potentially you could see OKC in that second round, which I would rather do than see Denver. You heard me correct, in the second round of the playoffs. So I know I'm getting ahead of myself, but the West is wide open. This is going to be fun. The Lakers are back and the Warriors. And everybody at the top is looking over their damn shoulder. They're readjusting that rearview mirror saying, what the hell is that that's racing up on the outside? Well, it's called experience. And it's called the Warriors.
Yeah, it's called the championship DNA. They've talked about this so many times, and you got plenty of guys that know how to win it. Jimmy Butler knows how to get you there, and that's a big thing that, pretty much has been an issue all year, right? The Steph Curry non-minutes when he's off the floor, because he's always a plus. It seems like every single game you go down the roster pretty much, aside from like the first few when it was the bench and Buddy Hield that really tore it up. Aside from that stretch, it's Steph Curry is pluses in the box score. That's usually what happens. And you needed someone to hold down the fort in the second unit. You add in Jimmy Butler and just the ability to do it all, right? Just like the molded nuclei that is able to do a little bit of everything minus have a pretty stroke this current moment. Aside from that, like he makes everyone around him better. And he had some really good comments about why he has not been more aggressive. Obviously, that's been a huge talking point. You bring him in to be the second scorer. He's been taking less shots than Andrew Wiggins did. As of right now, that's not his game, and it doesn't matter because the Warriors are 9-1. We're breaking down the Jimmy Butler effect that's coming up on Locked On Warriors.
And most importantly, he a dog.
We need more dogs.
All right, today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at BetterHelp. Who is your support system? We all need people to lean on, whether it's friends, whether it's family, whether it's our friend Dan Devone. At some point, you're going to need people to lean on, and the best way to do it is to talk, and the best place to talk is BetterHelp. Therapy, great way to build a strong support system. It's not just for tough times. You can set boundaries, develop coping skills, and become the best version of yourself. Learning to ask for help, everyday benefits that comes with therapy, and it's also convenient and accessible, fully online, making it easier than ever to connect with a licensed therapist from anywhere with over 30,000 professionals available. So build your support system with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNBA today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOnNBA. Let's get back to the show.
Who can stop Steph Curry?
Hopefully we'll never find out.
Who can stop Steph Curry? Because we're getting into this in a little bit. I found a graphic on Reddit, and I just have to bring this up before we get into the conversation to tease what is coming up. And good God, I've screenshotted like 19 things since I took that picture hours ago. Anyways, Steph Curry averaged 26 points, 6 assists, and 4 rebounds in 10 games in February 2015. Steph Curry averaged 30 points, 5 assists, and 4 rebounds in 11 games last month. He's picked it up to start March. The assist numbers are out of control. His off-the-ball movement has opened up everything, and his ability to play with Jimmy Butler has been evident from day one. Butler clearly loves playing with Steph Curry and the gravity that he provides, but Butler provides some gravity himself. One thing that Jimmy said in terms of being more aggressive is that he hopes his game is contagious right now. And just because the play is designed for him, that doesn't mean the smart play is always to finish a play that's designed to him. It's to get other guys the rock. It's to make things happen. And he's been doing that in a variety of different ways, from the low post, high post, finishing around the rim, finishing in transition, finding cutters, being the cutter himself. Pretty much everything except knocking down threes, which is a perfect supplement to the Warriors, who you called a circus act before the season because they were planning on shooting so many threes. I mean, Kerr wanted Podziemski shooting 10 a game. They were shooting a million to begin the year. And as of right now, it's part of their game. They still shoot a ton. They still make a good majority when the percentages aren't in the 20. It's been pretty Jekyll and Hyde. We've mentioned that. But their game's just changed a little, man. What is the Jimmy Butler effect?
Well, you're seeing it, and I think that's a good word, is contagious. It sort of, reminds me of I don't know whether we talk about support systems at home, whether it's a mom or a dad. For me, it was my father. And if he wasn't home for dinner, it was like Thanksgiving or a big dinner, it's chaos. I'm sitting in his seat throwing a meatball grenade at my brother. It's just like if my sisters are not in their seats, it's like it's mayhem. But then when he's there, Dad's at the front of the table, Mom's at the other end, and there's absolute structure. I'm on my
Tuck in your shirt, Devone. Tuck it in.
Absolutely. And everybody's in their assigned seats, and we sit there and we behave and we get through dinner without a problem. And that's sort of what Jimmy Butler is. He's sort of the adult that's returned home, and everybody now is in their rightful place. It's sort of, he's connecting everything. I mean, you talk about the Warriors right now. I just read this metric. That you get out your Reddit. You're like a 12-year-old schoolgirl with your online snapshot and everything in the world.
I do it all, Devone. I get into the serious articles with the Times and the Athletic. I, go with the blogs. I'll watch a vlog, whatever the algorithm feeds me.
But I saw this. So I read this, that since the Jimmy Butler trade, they've always been good defensively. They're number statistically number 2 in offense, number 2 defensively. So you talk about two-way basketball, it doesn't get any better than that. So you have good teams in the NBA that are good on both ends, but not like that of the Golden State Warriors. And they're not necessarily shooting it very well. And that's the confidence. That's what Jimmy Butler's been able to provide. It's not about, we need to shoot threes and we're making threes, and so nobody's going to beat us. Well, when the three's not working, the Warriors get buckets other ways, whether it's the
smart
mid-range
play
or whether it's getting to the rim. And what does that mean? It means they're confident now. You're not reliant schematically on shooting threes. You're not reliant on playing in the post, although that's something that nobody does anymore. They are just simply a team now that feels confident, much like that start of the season when they got up to the 12-3 beginning after the 15 games, that they expect to win every game. And it's not reliant on necessarily one thing specifically, but they know that somebody's going to pick you up, whether it's Podziemski, whether it's Moody, whether it's Quentin Post. And again, there's that contagious word. It's filtering throughout the entire lineup.
Yeah, they've been playing smart basketball too. I don't have the turnover numbers in front of me, but I know they are.
Reddit.
I know they are down from what they've been in the past, Devon. Steph's longevity, because the numbers are up right now. I mentioned near 30 points through the month of February, puts up 28 in the game against, after 56 against Orlando, puts up 28 in the game against the Knicks. 12-1 now at the Garden, continues to put on shows there. I mean, I think one of the last times we saw him there 2 or 3 times ago.
Most threes ever.
Breaking the 3-point record. Yeah. At Madison Square Garden. And this time he's catapulting a huge third quarter to bring the Warriors back into it. Never felt like they were out of it. They were just shooting really bad. And it felt like a little flurry would get him right back in it. And that it did. Steph's longevity, man, because you have tried to find the fountain of youth as best as you can. God bless your soul, whether it's the kale, whether it's the, not eating any toxins, stay away from the lipids, the 5 a.m. cold plunges in the San Francisco Bay, everything that you've done to take care of yourself, you start to feel it as you get a little bit older. I'm in the early 30s. I'm starting to crack a little from time to time. How much longer realistically can he play at this level? I mean, 30 points a game over the last month is unheard of. Before this millennium, it was unheard of.
I talked about this on 95.7 The Game yesterday, the day before, about it's sort of the new way when it comes to basketball. And certainly I think that what we're witnessing right now with Kevin Durant, LeBron James, as well as Steph Curry, it's sort of one of one, right? These guys you're never going to see anything like these three, at least in my lifetime. But I do think that you're seeing the elongation or the extension of today's players, that the Shai Gilgeous-Alexanders, the Giannis's of the world can still do this as these three lead by example as they get into their mid to late 30s and pushing, in the case of LeBron James at the age of 40, with dietitians and everything that they invest in their bodies these days, that I think that you're going to see a lot more players pushing this level of play a lot longer, as opposed to back in the day when Larry Bird and Magic Johnson were done at the age of 33, 35.
Shai's like 23, dude.
Yeah,
he's got a long way to go.
It's crazy. By the way, I know that he's the consensus MVP, but Jokic just dropped 19 assists. He's shooting 46 from 3. Don't tell me the Serbian isn't the best player in the NBA. We'll pick that up for another time. I'm just doing shows with you, bro. But let me just get back to Steph for a moment. Because here is what I think is. I remember him a month ago. He was like Fred Sanford going out to the yard with the bad knees.
He took 35 shots and 31 shots over the course of 2 games and barely hit 30 in those games.
But remember, he had like the tendonitis. Oh, my back. And he had like the hand wrapped.
Forget that. There were 2 or 3 games. There was a game where he went scoreless, and there was a half where he went score. I mean, there were some moments that we had not seen from Steph that go in the very bottom of the negative record books of what he's done.
With Jimmy Butler coming on board, I get it, that he's created balance, that you can't necessarily go after Steph and forget about or leave the middle of the key or the floor open, because Jimmy Butler's going to exploit that. A lot of people will point at the X's and O's that Jimmy Butler has helped Steph Curry. To me, what it is, it's the emotion that's been infused back into Steph Curry. Steph Curry is now playing competitive basketball. I think he was resigned to the fact, remember that dreary post game after Toronto where he's just like, oh my God, it's the end of the world. And now he realizes that I'm going back to the playoffs, and who the hell knows I may take this thing as far as I can go, and you can see it. It's reflected in his play. To me, it's not necessarily what's happening physically on the floor as far as the X's and O's with Jimmy Butler. It's the emotion that he's infused into Steph Curry and the rest of that team. But specifically, Steph Curry is like, let's ball again. Let's do this again. And the joy with this guy, I always maintain this, that there's some guys, I think Brunson's got 50 this year. Jamal Murray has 50. CJ McCollum has 50 points this year. Nobody has as much fun or is exciting or exalts the crowd or plays to people like that as Steph Curry. And you're seeing the joy return to this man. And I think it's a cause and effect with the trade that brought one Jimmy Butler to the Warriors.
Yeah, he's played on the national stage so much that even the out-of-market folks from Orlando or Atlanta or wherever it may be, they still know a lot about his game. But what you forget until you watch him day in and day out is how good he is at everything that is not shooting the basketball, right? Like Buddy Hield's a damn good shooter. You throw him up next to Steph Curry with a rack of balls, and I mean, they're going to go toe-to-toe. But when it comes to the overall basketball player, his defense, physically he's limited. He is what he is defensively, but he's a pest. Can absolutely poke it away and go the other way in transition. He can finish amongst the trees. He's crafty, can set up teammates. His off-the-ball movement is insane. His screening off the ball, incredible. Like, he's a really good screener for someone his size. Like, overall, we've been blessed to watch him for as long as we have. I was fortunate enough as a big college basketball guy through and through. I remember him like sophomore year at Davidson because he came back after that big tournament run, and he was the shooter back then. He was someone that could create off the dribble, but every other part of his game since then, I mean, that's just someone that's worked his ass at it, that has a ton of talent, and that is in the conversation for one of the most game-changing basketball players in the history of human earth.
Yeah, and just to further that point is that for as good as he is for a guard, right, he doesn't take a lot of bad shots. Like, he'll heat check from time to time.
I mean, it depends. If that was Donte DiVincenzo taking those shots, they'd be bad shots. But for him, nothing.
Well, that's what I mean. But he recognizes when he's drawing that double or triple team and very aware of cutters. He's very rarely will you see Steph Curry jack something from three off balance with three guys draped on him. Meanwhile, there's somebody open underneath, or there's somebody that was cutting to the hoop that he didn't see. He knows exactly what's happening because he knows that if he's drawing, especially off that split action, God, what's the over and under that Kalena Azubuike says split
They
action?
love the Buki bifocals. They love to go with the old split action.
Kalena talking too much. That guy,
I did a full tutorial on like basketball for dummies on the split action and all the different plays that the Warriors are running afterwards. I'm like, why did I need to learn all that? I'm a podcaster. Come on. I'm not going to rip that out. Like, the split action breakdown. But
Steph is very aware of as good as he is as a shooter, and you can call him a volume shooter. But as opposed to Klay Thompson, nobody's dogging Klay Thompson. But even back in the day when Klay was feeling it, just get out of the way, and Klay knew it, he could give a rip about anybody else. It's like, I'm in my world. I dropped 37 in a quarter. Here it goes, baby. Just sit down and enjoy the show. Meanwhile, Steph is from his periphery, despite how hot he is always aware of everybody else on the floor.
How much do you think Jimmy Butler has given him like a safety net when that double does come? Because they're still coming, and that's why the Warriors have been able to get so many easy looks, especially on the back cut, and just when teams double him, he attacks. That's what he does. He finds the open man. The Warriors go from there. But how much do you think Jimmy Butler's giving him like that safety net?
Well, I think what you're going to see happening going forward is that, so this is all new, right? So when you're defending the Golden State Warriors post Jimmy, I think it's very different than defending the Warriors before Jimmy Butler arrived. Same thing with the Los Angeles Lakers. Now that Luke is on board, how do we defend the Los Angeles Lakers? And when it comes to the Warriors, the middle of the floor is wide open, and Jimmy Butler is going to continue to exploit that. So at some point, they're going to have to start paying a lot more attention to Jimmy Butler. As of right now, they're still trying to figure it out. Wait a minute. Do you mean to tell me we're not sending two at Steph and running them off the line? In fact, we're not sending three. What are we doing? Because we got Jimmy Butler. And you can see the level of confusion now in defending these teams. I think it's going to be really fascinating when the Warriors play the Lakers, because the Lakers previously owned the Warriors because the matchups were so bad. But now that Anthony
They get
Davis,
rid of AD.
it's a completely different team. It's like that was the big problem child for the Warriors, is that they could not, he would clog up the middle. And now that AD's gone, what does that matchup look like? So the reason that I point that out is that when you're talking about the Warriors going forward, even when they played the Clippers, two teams vying it out for the 6th seed, the Clippers haven't seen the Warriors since Jimmy Butler's arrived. It's a completely different team. And I think teams are sort of arriving in that and figuring out on the fly how to defend both Jimmy Butler as well as Steph Curry.
Yeah, and we've been using the name Clippers a lot. It may be time to start bringing up another name, the Minnesota Wolves. They're winning basketball games as of right now. They still have plenty of talent, went to the Western Conference Finals a season ago, and they are right there with the Warriors for that 6th seed. There's a good chance the Rockets could fall out of it, with the way they've been playing the last month or so. So there's still a ton of time for this entire thing to shift. But what you wanted to be as a Warriors fan was in the catbird seat, right? Not catching up towards the end of the season, not like we believe where it took till the last day. Just getting in front, staying in front, and eyeing the 5 instead of, having a very, very tight-knit race between you and the 7 seed. Want to continue this conversation. Golden State Warriors going up against the Brooklyn Nets, looking for a little 4-1 road trip and an 10-1 start with Jimmy Butler on the floor. We've seen the Warriors beat a lot of teams, some of them bad. The New York Knicks good. How good are the Warriors? That's the question we're posing. That's coming up on Locked On Dubs.
Very, very, very happy that I'm not getting suspended no more.
All right, today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. If you did not know, it is America's #1 sports book, and when the game tips off, the NBA action's just getting started. With FanDuel, you can place live bets during the game. Take notes on this, Devone. I know you're not someone that throws down a wager, but if you do, it's probably going to lose about 2 minutes into the game. Beginner's luck. It happens from time to time. The good news is you could bet on a fourth quarter comeback. The lines are coming out every 2 seconds. You could stay in on the action. And I love using the live betting feature for that reason alone, because typically, like you would be if you threw down a wager, Devone, sometimes you just need some action on the game when you've lost 2 seconds in. And right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. You visit FanDuel.com. That's how you join. That's FanDuel.com for your shot at $150 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel. It's the official sports betting partner of the NBA.
Destroy Jimmy and Domino's. I know Jimmy drinks great wine.
All right, man. So the Warriors are 9-1 right now with Jimmy Butler on the floor, 9-2 since the acquisition overall. I believe those numbers are correct, right? I mean, it just stacks up.
9-1, 9-2. Yeah, you're right.
That's right. Yes. So through 11 games.
Hey, let me get on Reddit. Hold on.
9-1. With that being said, I mean, Cleveland's, I think, 9-0 over their last 9. They don't lose. Aside from that, though, I mean, the Warriors are the hottest team in the NBA right now. How much do you make of this? It fell during a weird portion of the schedule where the good teams that they've played have had, maybe not asterisk, but they've been banged up. Milwaukee definitely had an asterisk. No Giannis in that game. The Mavericks, the couple times you played them and you lost one of them, did not have really anyone. And soon the Mavericks are going to be worse, or I guess this current moment they're worse with Kyrie now out for the season. But the Knicks, their signature win without Karl Anthony Towns, you are, at the end of the day, you can only beat the teams that line up in front of you on the schedule. And the eye test does matter. Also, the box score test matters. The Warriors dominating these teams, and the eye test says that they look a lot more confident. They're playing with a little swagger since the Jimmy Butler edition, both offensively and defensively. When are we going to find out truly how good this team is? Is it, hey, if they enter the playoffs as a 5 seed, we'll see then, or are we going to figure it out beforehand?
Keep in mind that after Brooklyn, they got 7 games at home, 7 consecutive games at home. And the schedule certainly stacks up in favor of the Warriors. Hey, listen, man, After this, you know where I'm going is to the Zen Center. And one of the things that we learned at the Zen Center as we all come together is just be present. Live in the here and now. Don't try and forecast what's going to happen or what's going on behind you, but just be present in terms of me talking to you. Let's just enjoy where it is so that we can share this blissful moment together. But in all seriousness, you don't have to really worry about it. Take care of Brooklyn, stack up wins. And again, when you think of the West, does OKC scare you? Yeah, sure. They have been not only
everyone scares you. I mean, Memphis and Houston are you've played them down to the wire every single time you've taken them on this season. Aside from blowing a 30-point lead at Houston, that game went to overtime. But every single one has been close late. Same with OKC. Same with Memphis for the most part. So I mean, it's not going to be easy, but you just feel like the Warriors have a chance in pretty much any series, right?
Well, that's just it. I think that the West. Look at Memphis and Houston. Yeah, they scare you, but they're both beatable teams. And when you think about the best in the West, that being OKC, I'm a big experience guy. And until they've earned their battle scars, I'm not handing them anything. As dominant as they've been in the regular season. And listen, they could run the table in the postseason. Would any of us be surprised? No, they've been that good. But still, I need to see whether your butt cheeks get tight there, Chet Holmgren, in a big possession in the fourth quarter of a game 7. Same for you with SGA. Same with you with Jalen Williams. I've just never seen him do it before. LeBron, I'll concede to you and Luka because I know you guys have proven that you know what's up when it comes to big games.
Are you sleeping on Anthony Edwards 100%? Because that's what I'm saying. One of the things when we're talking about seeding going into the playoffs is you got to look at the matchups, right? Because if Minnesota's taking on whoever the 2 is, then Lakers. You want to get in a position to potentially play the 2 so you can get Minnesota.
Yeah, well, am I sleeping on Anthony Edwards? No, not sleeping on Anthony Edwards. By the way, Anthony Edwards, you cannot get your 16th technical and removed from a basketball game like he did last week, man. Every game's too crucial. You got to be smarter than that, young fella. But I am sleeping on Rudy Gobert when it comes to the postseason, where you got to take him off the floor when teams want to go slow. I am sleeping on Julius Randle, who is just simply not fit. And here we are with just a handful of games remaining in the season. You and I love Donte DiVincenzo, but it's not the Donte of a year ago. Take him back to Brooklyn, man, where he can go get a slice. Oof-ah, he belongs out there in New York. What the hell's he doing in Minnesota?
Dude, what is that tomato pie that all, and Devone, obviously a San Francisco guy, but spends some of his time now on the East Coast. What is that tomato pie? Is that New Haven pie? What is it?
No, it's called a tomato pie. Yeah.
Why do people eat that? I mean, I guess everyone's allergic to cheese that eats that, or do normal people get that?
No, you get there's cheese underneath it. My goodness, man, you need to get out. Come on.
No, I'm
man.
talking the pizza that's actually just 100% dough and tomato. I've seen it.
The tomato pie is a reference for a pizza. It's just cooked a little differently. Usually you have the sauce underneath the cheese and you stack everything on top of that. I think Detroit does this as well, or it's a Sicilian slice where you put the sauce on top. I'm sure.
No, I know that, Devone. I'm a pizza
I'm not
guy.
sure you do, man.
I do.
Just stick to your funnel cakes there, right, kid?
I do love a nice funnel cake, but Tony's, man, in the city, North Beach.
No, that's Bridge and Tunnel, man. No, that's Bridge and Tunnel, man. That's from every coconut from the East Bay and the North Bay. That's once a real slice, and they go to Tony's. You don't go to Tony's. It's hard to get a good slice in San Francisco. Anyways, where the hell were we? We're talking about the Minnesota.
We were talking about Anthony Edwards, and we switched over to the tomato pie. It was honestly an incredible segue. Just 2 dudes with horrible ADHD doing a show at about 4 p.m.
Yeah, so Donte DiVincenzo. Donte is, what? No, so Minnesota shouldn't scare you because their problems are real, and I don't think there's enough time to fix that. Could be wrong, but those are some fundamental issues that team has.
Really, the only team that should scare the Golden State Warriors is the Golden State Warriors right now, because if they're healthy with Kuminga, sky truly is the limit, man. I know it's a cliche phrase, but we have not seen this team at full strength. We've seen what they've been at 95%, and it's a 9-1 team. Granted, how many of those teams are you going to potentially see in the playoffs? 0 as of right now. But I think the team was just close enough before the trade in general, when they were fully healthy with Kuminga. They were just close enough to where you could see the path that they're going to compete with just about anyone they play in the postseason. The question is just going to be, are they going to hit shots? What if Buddy Hield is truly someone that goes out there for 20 minutes a night? What kind of Buddy Hield are you going to get? And is Steph Curry going to be February Steph Curry, or is he going to be December Steph Curry? It really comes down to that, because you know you're going to get the energy. Defense has been rock solid. Rim protection, overrated. The Warriors, the best small team at defending the rim I've ever seen in my life. I don't know how Kerr and company do it. So, yeah, I mean, they're going to have a chance, man. It's going to be fun. That's all I'm saying. Let's sneak into that 5 spot.
Yeah, I think that the number 2 scorer has to be more solidified. That's if I had a concern, and I think it's Jimmy Butler. By the way, for those that aren't familiar,
can it be 2A, 2B, Butler, Kuminga? Can you do the whole?
Yeah, exactly. So I think that for those that don't follow Jimmy Butler prior to his arrival with the Golden State Warriors, he's a guy who likes to go ISO. He's a guy that will get to the rim, get fouled, and he's a scorer. He's a volume shooter, and he's a guy that you clear aside and let him go to work. What he's doing with the Warriors is a little atypical Jimmy, because he's facilitating and he's being so deferential. When he gets up to speed, keep in mind he hasn't played basketball in like a month and a half until he joined the Warriors, and he's still getting his sea legs and his jump shot he isn't completely relying on
over back spasms.
Yeah, and I think that Butler is going to be a significant number 2. That's when you talk about the identity. They now have an identity, but they're going to even be more solidified when he becomes another guy that's giving you the 20 points a game. And then here comes Jonathan Kuminga, who, keep in mind, when he went out, he was punishing the rim as well and getting to the free throw line. So it's just a matter of assimilating him into this offense. It's not the offense I'm concerned about, Jonathan Kuminga, but it's the defense, because that's where Jimmy Butler's hanging his hat. That's why Podziemski and him have found each other. That's why he's brought out Moody, and that necessarily hasn't been the calling card for Jonathan Kuminga. So we'll find out. But if you have Steph doing what Steph's doing, now that he's unlocked and playing basketball with a smile on his face again, and you have Jimmy Butler and Jonathan Kuminga at number 2, so you can rely on these 3 guys to give you points. Then all the other pieces, if it's Buddy Hield one night, God bless. Podziemski, you're feeling, let's go to town. Moody's got it one night. Oh, here comes Quentin Post filling it up on a trail 3. Like, those guys can share the load. Then it starts to make sense. But I think locking up the 2 and 3 scores in this basketball team on a consistent basis is not vital, but it's something you want to see in the coming days.
Dan Devone, you can hear him on 95.7 The Game, Warriors Post. The 4-time Emmy winner that traded in the suit and the tie for the big-ass headphones to podcast with myself. Appreciate it, man.
Where's Kolsky? I love Kolsky, by the way. That dude knows what's up, man. I enjoy watching Kolsky and breaking down games. I really do.
He's a basketball.
Oh, you know what I love the most about him?
Least.
You know what I love about him the most? The psychedelic hair. It's a kaleidoscope. I love that dude, man. He is.
It always keeps me on my toes, man. He's like he's like Rodman, man. I got finished Rodman on the set with me.
He's so San Francisco, but he knows what's up. So, all right.
No doubt about it. That's Dan Devone, Chuck Walter. This is Locked On Warriors. You can get it wherever you get your audio podcasts, and we stream on YouTube. See ya.